And some sad news out of the NBA, where Hall of Famer Willis Reed has died at the age of 80. Reed helped lead the Knicks to their only two championships in franchise history in 1970 and 1973, and was a seven-time All-Star. Reed spent his entire career with New York and had his number 19 jersey retired back in 1976. He ranked second in franchise history in rebounds and third all-time in scoring, trailing only Walt Clyde Frazier and Patrick Ewing. And to talk more about Willis Reed and his legacy, we have our coach, Avery Johnson, joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. Coach, Willis Reed, arguably one of the best players to put on a Knicks uniform. How is he going to be remembered and his legacy?
Well, he's going to be remembered for a man that gave so much to the game of basketball, both on the court, off the court, a man that was really passionate about the game, that really cared about people. He was just a tremendous role model. He played when he was injured. He played, when he was healthy. Obviously, his resume speaks for itself, but what a tremendous ambassador for the game of basketball throughout his illustrious career. And Willis Reed is definitely going to be missed.
And Coach, he was the captain of those Knicks teams in the 60s and the 70s. What do you remember most about Willis Reed in that time specifically?
Well, lefties, we all love lefties. And that left-handed shot that he had, obviously he wasn't a prolific shooter, but he could make some outside shots when he needed to. But he did all the dirty work. Here's a guy that even when he was in college, he averaged, 26 points and 21 rebounds at Grambling University, and I carried that momentum over to the NBA. But he did the dirty work, all the stuff that didn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, set screens. He was a defender. Obviously, he had some battles with Wilt and those guys back in the day. But Willis Reed was a champion. He was a champion of all champions, two-time NBA champion, two-time NBA Finals MVP, both in 1970 and 73. But he was a guy that always put on his hard hat. He was Karl Malone before Karl Malone, Dennis Rodman before Dennis Rodman. And he will be forever remembered for his gifts to the game and the way he gave back to the game of basketball.
And Coach, you mentioned Reed at Grambling, and you were playing at a rival HBCU school at Southern. Do you have a favorite memory during that time with Reed?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance because he was older than me to play against him. But I remember they used to just call him the glass eater because every rebound was his. He had the best hands. He wasn't the most athletic guy, but he had that athletic. Had that timing. Which was really impressive, and that willpower. Rebounding is not just about athletic ability. It's about not how high you jump, but the willpower, the timing, the physicality. And a lot of other guys like Charles Oakley, who played at an HBCU, Ben Wallace, who played at an HBCU, those guys have all of that type of DNA in common. And but he's going to be forever missed. There are no Grambling jokes today because I love to have fun with my Grambling folks. But today is more of a somber day when a legend and a Hall of Famer in basketball has unfortunately passed on at the age of 80 years old. And I believe today was actually his birthday.
And Coach, we always talk about with someone of this stature, we talk about the stats and, all of the important games that they played in. But most of the tributes, a lot of them are just talking about him as a person and how great, of a person that Willis Reed was.
Yeah, and when I used to see him, even at NBA All-Star weekends, he was always ingratiating himself to everybody. We have certain players or retired players, they don't want to sign autographs. They don't want to take pictures. They don't want to take a selfie, but he was really the type of guy that was a giver, that when fans greeted him, or former players or retired players, current players, he would always spend time with you. I remember at several All-Star games, I thought I was just going to have 5 minutes to have a conversation with him. Here we were 20, 30 minutes later, still in that same conversation. So he's a guy that we're definitely going to be missed. And the NBA today is better because a guy like Willis Reed spent time as an executive and a player for a long period of time with the NBA.
All right. Thank you so much for all that insight and perspective on Willis Reed. That is our coach, Avery Johnson, joining us here on HQ as we're following some sad news out of the NBA where Hall of Famer Willis Reed has died at the age of 80.